Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 74 of the Unstoppable Entertainment Show, the most comprehensive entertainment news show on the internet. I am, of course, Nate Schaffner, otherwise known as the Unstoppable Nate. I hope you enjoyed the show today, and I hope you continue to enjoy the show in the future. I have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about in this episode. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone's doing okay. And I know there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I hope that this show provides a brief respite from whatever it is that you're going through in life. Um, but before I get started, as always, I just want to remind you that if you have a comment, a question, or if you'd like me to talk about certain movies or franchises, excuse me, you can email me anytime at the address listed in the description of this video. Also, if you like this show, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and spread the word. So, with all that out of the way, let's get started with this. This one is interesting. So, um, you know, one of my favorite uh, genres of uh, films is erotic thrillers. I mostly because the boundaries that they push, that those kinds of films push. I think there's an audience for them. Um, there was I'd love to see erotic thrillers come back. Unfortunately, I think that the thing is, for some reason, I think um, there's when it comes to erotic thrillers, I think we as a society have become somewhat like part of what erotic thriller movies explore is sexuality, and I think for whatever reason we as a society uh, get kind of afraid of, not really afraid, but um, everybody gets up in arms about sexuality in film for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, I'd love to see erotic thriller film make a comeback. Now, the reason I say that is because there's one coming starring one of my favorite actresses. This article is on Deadline, published by Justin Kroll. And this article says, um, excuse me, says following their big sale of the rom-com 1 month mark to Apple, Chernin Entertainment has another sexy package hitting the market this weekend. As sources tell Deadline, Chernin has boarded Palm Grove, an original big screen erotic thriller by James Morosini, starring Kate Hudson and Ana de Armas, directed by Cornel Mundruczó. Insiders say the package will hit the streets tomorrow and is sure to attract a number of buyers given the star power. The story is set in Miami's most exclusive neighborhood, where a picture-perfect wife uncovers her husband's double life, igniting a seductive power game that turns betrayal into the most intoxicating game of her life. Great. Awesome. Now, for those who don't know so a lot of what this article says, Chernin Entertainment, this package hitting the market, you know, insiders say the package will hit the streets tomorrow and is sure to attract a number of buyers given the star power. For those who don't know what any of that means that this, what they refer to as a package, is this film that stars these two actresses, and it's going to be on the market for studios to pick it up for distribution. That's what that means. So Palm Grove. Picture perfect wife uncovers her husband's double life, igniting a seductive power game that turns betrayal into the most intoxicating game of her life. Awesome. Awesome. This sounds like the perfect kind of erotic thriller to me. Um, I really like Ana de Armas. I still need to watch the ballerina movie, the John Wick spinoff that she was in. I loved her in No Time to Die. I really like her. I love Kate Hudson. Kate Hudson is one of my favorite actresses. You know, Obviously Almost Famous, Deepwater Horizon. She was great in the Knives Out movie that she was in, The Glass Onion, and I've heard that. She got an Oscar nomination for Song Sung Blue, that movie that she did recently with Hugh Jackman. I think she's great. Unfortunately, sometimes, um, the material that she gets, and I've said this before, but like sometimes the material that she gets is not that good. Um, like what was the movie? Oh God, the movie that she did with Anne Hathaway, Bride Wars. Oh God, I mean, she did the best she could with the material, right? And then the skeleton key, but she's a fantastic actress. This sounds great to me. I am very interested in this. I'm not familiar with the director, Cornell Mundruxo. I'm not familiar with the director, but I like the premise, and uh, yeah, I really like this. So jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on Palm Grove, starring Kate Hudson and Ana de Armas. Excuse me, just a second. Okay. Okay. Um, moving on here. So, you might recall from a few episodes ago, I talked about this new uh, sci-fi thriller movie called Starman that's going to star Brendan Fraser, who I love. And it's about this architect of the future who launches a historic expedition to Mars. Um, and his mission eventually becomes a race against time. Um, Something drastic happens, and that sounds great. And it's called Starman. It's going to star Brendan Fraser. Well, there's been some more casting news regarding Starman, and I love this. This article is on Joe Blow, published by Kevin Fraser. This article says Deadline reports that Jeff Daniels is set to join Brendan Fraser in Starman. And then it goes on here. Jeff Daniels will play Ed Watkins, the protective and powerful co-leader of a transformational company he built alongside visionary technologist Tom Adams, who would be played by Brendan Fraser. A man who means far more to Ed than the company itself. So, this is interesting. This sounds like excuse me. You ever get that tickle in your throat that you just can't get rid of? So, a man who means far more to Ed than the company itself. That is interesting because that could possibly give a clue, like, so these two men obviously have a very close friendship, and maybe the Brendan Fraser character, Tom Adams, maybe Jeff Daniels decides to put his company on the line to save the life of the Brendan Fraser character. That could be interesting. I'm just spitballing there. I love Jeff Daniels. The thing that I love most about Jeff Daniels is that he doesn't come across, and this is not I don't mean this in a negative way. He's not a movie star. He's an actor. And he always presents himself as such. And I think there's a difference between a movie star and an actor, and Jeff Daniels is an actor, and he's a very good one. Jeff Daniels. I mean, what can I? He was in the Purple Rose of Cairo with Woody Allen, directed by Woody Allen. I love Arachnophobia. I fucking love that movie. It's if you guys haven't seen Arachnophobia, it's so good. It's great. Um, you know, he was in The Martian. Obviously The Newsroom. He and obviously Dumb and Dumber. I mean, come on. he's wonderful. I will say, probably, honestly, my favorite movie that he was in is Pleasantville. I love Pleasantville so much. My wife and I actually watched that recently. I hadn't seen it in such a long time, and it's still great. It's still great. I mean, and all the allegories are there. All the metaphors still hold up, and some are still quite relevant today. And there's that scene the morning after the Jeff Daniels and Tobey Maguire characters. There's the scene at the mural where the crowd is just up in arms, and it's so beautiful, and it's so, I love Pleasantville, and I love him in it. This could be really, really interesting. This movie, it sounds like again, the Jeff Daniels and Brendan Fraser characters, as far as, it sounds like, when it comes to, and this is just giving me hints of like, okay, so it says here again, Ed Watkins, the leader of the company that is going to, that is going to, the Jeff Daniels is going to play the co-leader of the company that goes to Mars, and Brendan Fraser is going to be the one who actually goes. And it sounds like, it says a man who means far more to Ed than the company itself. That says to me like maybe there's going to come a point in the movie where the company's reputation or the company itself is going to be put on the line, and Jeff Daniels is just like, I'm going to save my friend. I don't care what it means to the company. And that's compelling. That's really compelling. So yeah, this sounds great to me. I love Brendan Fraser. I love Jeff Daniels. So jump in the comment section, and let me know your thoughts. Okay, moving on here. So, I talk about this a lot, but one of my, excuse me just a sec. Okay. What happened? Oh dear. Okay. So, I talk about this a lot, but I love the Marvel and DC stuff when it comes to comic book movies, but I also love when more independent stuff gets made. Do I have something? I can never tell. I'm so. Okay, sorry. I love when more independent stuff gets made. Now, there was let me see here. So I want to make sure I get my information correct on this. So Glenn Danzig, who is the frontman for the Misfits, and I want to make sure. Uh, yeah. Okay. So Glenn Danzig, who is the frontman for the Misfits, published this comic book series. His own. He published his own comic book series called Hellmask back in 2023, and there's, it looks like, actually, more than looks like, it is evident based on this article that it's going to get a film adaptation, and this is really interesting. So this article is on the Hollywood Reporter, published by Aaron Couch. This article says the Misfits frontman Glenn Danzig is going from the stage back to the director's chair for Hellmask, a new feature he will adapt from his own comic book. The project will mark his third feature as a director, with the film based on his comic of the same name. Danzig's publisher, Verotic, which focuses on dark fantasy and horror, is behind Hellmask, which began life in the Verotic 30th anniversary issue in October 2023. The book, per the logline, is set against a brutal medieval backdrop filled with dark magic, armored warriors, and massive bloody battle scenes. Hellmask follows a violent supernatural tale steeped in gothic atmosphere. Um, awesome. Awesome. Now, um, he also, I did not know that he has previously directed films. I did not know that. Now, I'm unfortunately, uh, I have heard, or I am looking at now, I should say, that the movies he has directed, uh, 2019's Veronica and uh, this vampire spaghetti western Death Rider in the House of Vampires, I have both looking at now are evidently not very, they're terrible. So that does not bode well for this movie. I will say the premise sounds cool. A brutal medieval backdrop filled with dark magic, armored warriors, and massive bloody battle scenes follows a violent supernatural tale steeped in gothic atmosphere. That sounds awesome. I am down for that. I hope it's a lot better than these other two movies he's directed. Um, um, you know, uh, so I like that he's directing from his own comic. Like that's pretty cool. Like he like I know the material. He knows the material. I don't want anybody else messing it up, so I'm gonna direct the movie. Cool. Okay, that's cool. I hope it's good. I hope it's good because evidently the last two movies he's directed are terrible. Um, not, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm, I've made a few short films and a couple documentaries in my, as of right now, short-lived film career. And so I'm probably the least qualified person to say this, but not everyone's cut out to be a film director. Um, you know, uh, and maybe Glenn Danzig isn't, but I applaud the effort. I applaud the effort. Hopefully, it's good, because it sounds awesome. It sounds awesome. So, jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on Glenn Danzig uh, directing a feature he will adapt from his own comic Hellmask. What are your thoughts on that? All right, so moving on here, going back to Kate Hudson, I've talked about previously on the show about this rom com that she's going to be in with Javier Bardem, who I also love, called Hello in Paris. Now, uh, and it's currently in production. And there's been some casting news regarding that movie. Let me see here. Um, this article is on the Hollywood Reporter, published by Ryan Gajewski. Um, this article says Amazon MGM Studios' Hello in Paris is saying hello to 6 cast members: Rupert Penry Jones, Trudy Styler, Amber Valletta, Bella McLean, Elliot Sumner, and Thadia Graham have joined the cast of the forthcoming romantic comedy feature from writer-director Elizabeth Chomko, the Hollywood Reporter has learned. So, uh, Rupert Penry Jones is known for Whitechapel, The Feud, um, Spooks. Trudy Styler um, has appeared in The Night of the Pose, The American Bride, and The Next 3 Days. Let me see here. So, Amber Valletta, she was in The Last Thing He Told Me and The Killer, and has also appeared on the series Revenge and Blood and Oil. She was in What Lies Beneath, Hitch, and Transporter 2. And Bella McLean, she's going to be in the 4th season of Sex Education. And she's set to return for the 3rd season of Rivals. Yeah. So, yeah, this cast is shaping up nicely. It's currently in production. I hope it's good because I've heard, it's kind of going to be in the vein of Sleepless in Seattle, When Harry Met Sally, You've Got Mail. So hopefully it's good, and hopefully it doesn't it's not too similar to those movies, and hopefully it's something original, more original. But yeah, it's filming right now, and yeah. So jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on Hello in Paris, currently in production, currently filming, and the cast updates. What do you think about that? Okay, so this is the part of, unfortunately, the part of the show where I talk about something that is really, really sad. So back on June 19th, there was an American there was a television director by the name of James Burrows, and he he co-created Cheers. He directed numerous episodes of Friends. He also directed numerous episodes of Frasier. He directed every episode of Will and Grace. Um, Let me see here. Um, he directed um, numerous episodes of um, Taxi, um, the show with Judd Hirsch and Christopher Lloyd and Danny DeVito that aired from 1978 to 82. Um, and back on June 19th, he died. Um, I believe he was 85 years old. Um, and I remember I remember getting a text from my wife Katie. Did you hear that James Burrows died? And I was like, that name is familiar, but I can't. I was like, that name is familiar, but I can't put the face to the name. And then I looked him up like I just did, and I was like, oh yeah, like and I remember thinking like the other thing that I thought was like that name is familiar, but I at that moment when she asked me, did you hear that James Burrows died? I was like, that name is familiar, but I can't remember what he worked on. And in that incredibly short period of time where we were texting back and forth and I was looking him up, I was like, I looked up what he worked on, and like I said, I just, I read what he worked on, and like I just listed it off for you guys. And she was like, "Well, what didn't he work on?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, he was a giant of um, the American sitcom. In fact, there was an episode, and I remember uh, telling my wife this. There was an episode of Friends where Joey famously or infamously gets a part in. He's like, I got a part in the new Al Pacino movie, and he's like, he's like, I play Al Pacino's. He's like, I'm his butt double, and everybody's like, what? Like, he's like, he goes, I play Al Pacino's butt. He goes into the shower, and then I'm his butt. Now, in that episode, you know, Joey goes to the set to film the scene, and the director of the scene, or the director of the movie, I should say, starts giving him shit like, "Hey, butt guy, what the hell are you doing? Cut. What was that? I think his butt would like to get the shot before." He starts giving Joey shit. The director of that Al Pacino movie is James Burrows. Is played by James Burrows. So that's an interesting bit of trivia. But yeah, I mean, he I mean, he directed. Like I said, he was a giant of the American sitcom. And Jennifer Aniston put out a beautiful tribute to him, and I mean, he directed every episode of Will and Grace, And that show, I don't know how long that show was on. He directed every episode, numerous episodes of Friends. He co-created Cheers. It's just he was like the godfather of the American sitcom. And um, he's I think I want to make sure. Um, Let me see here. He uh, he received 11 Primetime Emmy Awards, 5 Directors Guild of America Awards. I mean, sweet Lord. But yeah, again, it was just like, I know that name. Why is that name familiar? And I was like, oh yeah, you know. I can't say it enough. I mean, he was a giant, and obviously he was incredibly talented, and anybody who watched any of those shows, Taxi, Friends, Cheers, Frasier, it's ironic because um uh Katie and I have been rewatching. We just started rewatching Frasier for the 100th time. And if you go um, on the main menu of the Paramount Plus streaming service app, and you go under Frasier, it says, remembering James Burrows. You know, so yeah. So I just wanted to say a few words about James Burrows and uh, everything that he worked on. I mean, he was a workhorse. I mean, he really was, and the quality of the work speaks for itself. So, uh, yeah. Let's see here. Um, let's move on to something that I think is rather interesting. Um, so there's a for those who don't know, one of my favorite directors is Quentin Tarantino. He also has somewhat of a mildly successful acting career. He's not the greatest actor in the world, but he's appeared in he's appeared in a couple of films from his friend Robert Rodriguez. Um, he's appeared in a couple of his own films. And he's not, I when when you watch him act, you're just like, well, don't quit your day job, Quentin. You know. But anyway, so Quentin Tarantino will be uh, acting again uh, in an unknown capacity in this in a new film. This article is on Deadline, published by Zach Natim and Andreas Weissman. Um, Jamie Adams, who directed Only What We Carry, is currently filming his next feature film in Wales, and was spotted framing up Quentin Tarantino and Kylie Minogue, who are set to star in the film. Um, We have been told Tarantino and Jamie Adams star in the film alongside Allison Williams, RZA, Jason Isaacs, Craig Roberts, and Sophia Boutella. The film will be titled Tangled Up in Blue. The official synopsis reads, he spent 40 years managing legends. Now, stranded at a hotel bar between an old flame and a lost soul, Jake Stroud finally has to manage the one thing he's always avoided, his own heart. Okay. And Quentin Tarantino, it should be noted here, Quentin Tarantino did star in Jamie Adams' last film, Only What We Carry. Okay, so managed the one thing he's always avoided, his own heart. Okay, sounds like a very kind of journey of self-discovery, or rediscovering yourself, possibly. This cast is pretty interesting. I love Jason Isaacs. Jason Isaacs is I Jason Isaacs is he's so good. I read something interesting regarding his career. He was in this Peter Pan movie where he played Captain Hook, which I loved. I loved that movie. I loved, if you haven't, there's a movie that came out in 2003, Peter Pan, and he played Captain Hook. That movie is the closest adaptation of the book that I think we'll ever get. And I read something interesting about his experience after that, regarding his career after that movie. And if I ever got the chance to tell him, I would tell him, look, I loved you in that movie. I thought he was great. And obviously, Lucius Malfoy, in the Harry Potter, he's great. He's great. Sophia Boutella. Let me tell you something about Sophia Boutella. Okay, Sophia Boutella is a superstar. Okay, she may not be the material. She's one of these actresses. She may not get the best material all the time, but man, does she bring it. Oh my God, she gives it her all in everything. So, she was in, she played Gazelle in Kingsman, and she was great. She was awesome in Kingsman. She played Jayla in Star Trek Beyond, she was awesome in that. Let me tell you something. Look, I know that the Tom Cruise Mummy movie isn't all that good. It's not that good. But Sophia Boutella in that movie is awesome. She's awesome. And I love Tom Cruise, but Sophia Boutella is awesome in that movie. And then she was in Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron. Yeah, she's great. She's great. This sounds interesting. You know, it's interesting to see RZA, who's a rapper, getting the acting bug. That's interesting. This sounds like kind of a journey of self-discovery and and finding your and rediscovering yourself, you know, which I'm down for, you know. I love stories like that. So yeah, so uh, yeah, sounds interesting. I don't know what else to say. So jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Okay, so uh, this next bit of news is interesting. It's really really cool actually. So there's a film director by the name of Dan Trachtenberg who has directed 3 Predator movies in a row. He directed Prey, which should have gotten a theatrical release. Um, it's on Hulu. It's kind of a prequel. It's a prequel to all the other Predator films. He directed this animated anthology Predator movie called Predator Killer of Killers. And he also directed Predator Badlands. But let me tell you something. Predator Badlands, and I say this as an enormous fan of the original Predator. Predator Badlands is next. Predator Badlands is the best Predator movie. It's awesome. It's awesome. I wasn't sure how. I wasn't sure, not necessarily if it could work, but I wasn't sure how a Predator movie with no human characters was going to work. And man, that movie is awesome. Predator Badlands is awesome. So Dan Trachtenberg, who directed all 3 of those movies, has a new project lined up. And this has to do again with an independent comic book. And again, you know, I love my mainstream stuff, but you know, I love when independent stuff gets made too, or gets adapted. This article is on Joe Blow, published by Cody Haman. Let me see here. A little ways down here in this article, it says, Trachtenberg also recently signed a 3-year first-look deal with Paramount Pictures, where he will develop, direct, and produce feature projects with his producing partner, Ben Rosenblatt. Now we know what his first Paramount project is going to be, an animated feature adaptation of the horror comedy indie comic Freddy the 13th. The movie is not expected to keep that title. That's a shame. Which is a reference to both the Friday the 13th and a Nightmare on Elm Street franchises. I love that title. Just keep it. This article goes on. The Friday the 13th indie comic follows the trials and tribulations of the hapless Freddy Van Winkle, or Freddy Van Winkle, the 13th son of a 13th born son who fails at everything in contrast to his brilliant siblings. One night, while looking after his nephew and niece, Logan and Lola, he accidentally kills the legendary slasher Nighty Night and automatically inherits the mantle of the monster. With rival killers emerging out of the shadows, Freddy has 13 nights to break the curse. A family vacation, this article goes on. Here's the log line. A family vacation turns into a nightmare when fun Uncle Freddy accidentally kills the boogeyman and takes on his powers. This sounds fantastic. This sounds fantastic. He accidentally kills the legendary slasher Nighty Night and automatically inherits the mantle of the monster. That sounds great. Just keep the title. Keep the fucking title. Freddy the 13th. That's awesome. You know, I love creative twists on classics like this. You know, um and uh I love horror comedies, you know, and really uh I love that it's going to be animated too, so they can really they can do things that you really couldn't do with live action. Um, you know this this sounds fantastic. I love this so much, and Dan Trachtenberg is on a roll, man. Like he's someone to keep your eye on, you know, um, as a creative force. Um, um, yeah. So, uh, yeah, yeah. This sounds great, and you know, again, a film, getting a film adaptation of an independent comic, you know, that's great. That's great. So, jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on Freddy the 13th. Uh, yeah. What do you guys think about that? Okay, so this next bit of news is really cool. Um, hold on just a second. Okay, so one of my favorite actresses right now is Lily James. Now, for those who don't know who Lily James is, um, sorry, I'm getting okay. Lily James is she played she played Cinderella in the live in Disney's the live action remake of Cinderella, which is really really good. She played the younger version of Meryl Streep's character in the Mamma Mia movies. She was in Baby Driver, which is great. Um, she's got this. She's going to be in this upcoming submarine thriller Subversion with Chris Hemsworth. She's also there's going to be um, 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 this remake of Cliffhanger, and she's going to star in that. I love Lily James. She's great. Well, she's going to be in this new horror movie, and it sounds awesome. Okay, so this article is on The Hollywood Reporter, published by Boris Kitt. This article says Lily James has signed on to star in Seasons, a horror thriller that Drew Hancock, the filmmaker behind Companion, is directing for Amazon MGM Studios. Let's see here. Um, a little ways down here, the article continues. The film follows a husband and wife who buy their dream ranch only to discover the land is alive with ancient spirits, and survival means submitting to increasingly disturbing rituals with each turn of the season. That's fucked up. That's fucked up, and I love it. Like, you have to imagine, like, holy shit, Lily James will play the wife. Um, that sounds awesome. A husband and wife who buy their dream ranch only to discover the land is alive with ancient spirits, and survival means submitting to increasingly disturbing rituals with each turn of the season. Holy fuck. That sounds so twisted. And I am so down for that. You know, again, when it comes to horror movies, I'm somebody that, like, the further you go, like, the darker and more twisted and more demented, like, the more I'm going to be into it. And let me tell you something. Uh, Drew Hancock, the filmmaker. So, Drew Hancock is going to be directing this film, and he directed Companion. If you guys haven't seen Companion, um, I would say it's more. It's more science fiction thriller than horror thriller, personally. And it's about this couple uh, on a weekend getaway at this cabin, and this couple's on a weekend getaway at this cabin with their friends, and uh, um, all I'm gonna say is that at one point in the movie, it is revealed that um, one of the guests there. It is revealed that one of the guests there is a companion robot. That's all I'm gonna say. It's 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 great. It's great. Um, Sophie Thatcher, who was in um, Heretic with Hugh Grant, which is also awesome. Companion is awesome. Companion is great. And so Drew Hancock is going to be directing this. Like, the idea of, so this movie is going to be titled Seasons, Disturbing Rituals. You have to submit to rituals each season in order to survive on the ranch. I don't care how, like, I'm one of those people, like, I want to know what the rituals are cuz I want to see it. Like, I don't really like, are they body rituals? Like, what kind of, and how far do these rituals go, and at what point is the couple like, you know what, fuck it, we're leaving, or we're going to die, you know. Like, submitting to these rituals in order to survive, that's fucked up. And I am, you know what, I am down. I am so down for this. Lily James is great. Lily James is awesome. Um, yeah. Uh, so my question is, like, survival means submitting to rituals each season. What happens if they don't submit to the rituals? What happens if they refuse? That that's got to see the movie. Oh my god, I'm so that sounds so awesome. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about Lily James um, starring in this horror thriller Seasons from Drew Hancock. Um, uh, okay, so it's been a while since I've talked about this, but a while back it was announced. Excuse me. A while back, as it was announced that there is going to be this Ghostbusters animated series on Netflix. Um, but at the time of the announcement, there wasn't much known about it. It was announced back in 2022. But again, there wasn't much known about it at that time. Well, now, as of yesterday, we have more information on it. This article is on, and by the way, I really like the Ghostbusters franchise. I think there are a couple of, for me, the franchise is kind of 50-50. You know, the first one is a classic. I mean, it really is. I really enjoyed um, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I really that whole movie felt like a love letter to Harold Ramis, and it was quite a beautiful and touching film. I mean, it's great. It's really good. Um, I have I Ghostbusters 2. Well, let me. So the ones that I like are the first one and Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ghostbusters 2 um, is I think lacked the originality of the original film. I think there are story beats in there that are echoes of the original film. Like the walking Statue of Liberty is obviously an echo of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Ghostbusters 2 is not a very good film. I don't find much original about it. I have not seen, to be fair, I have not seen Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I have heard I have heard it's not very good, but I have not seen it. So I just wanted to give my thoughts on the franchise as a whole before I continue. Um, so this news is regarding the Ghostbusters animated series for Netflix. This article is on CBR, published by Monica Coman. This article says the Ghostbusters are officially back in business For the new series on Netflix, they will be on a night shift. The long-awaited animated series, titled Ghostbusters Night Shift, was announced in 2022 and is finally moving along. After Netflix unveiled the logo and title for the new animated show earlier this month, it doubled down on the promotion with more details at the Annecy, I never know how to pronounce it, Annecy International Film Festival. This time around, Netflix unveiled the first look, the concept art, and the logline for the highly anticipated Ghostbusters series. This artwork is beautiful, by the way. I just want to I can't show it, but it looks gorgeous. Let me see here. They have some concept art here, and it looks beautiful. So a little ways down here, it gives some details about the show. The upcoming Ghostbusters Night Shift will take place in 1994 in New York City. It takes place 5 years after the Ghostbusters took the Statue of Liberty for a walk. A new wave of supernatural terror hits the Big Apple, forcing a group of scrappy young New Yorkers, untrained, underappreciated, and kind of sort of responsible for the problem, to put on proton packs, face their fears, and bust some ghosts. The new animated series blends a series of creative figures already involved in the previous installments. Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire filmmakers Jason Reitman and Gil Kenan are serving as executive producers, alongside franchise co-creator Dan Aykroyd. Let me see here. Yeah. So, okay, it's going to take place after Ghostbusters 2. Okay. So I don't know. So I love the fact that the directors of Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire more so Jason Reitman and Gil Kenan. Jason Reitman directed Ghostbusters Afterlife, and Gil Kenan directed Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I'm more keen on. I really like that they're going to be involved in this show. More so Jason Reitman than Gil Kenan, because Jason Reitman directed Ghostbusters Afterlife, and Jason Reitman is the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the original film. Actually, he directed hold on. What am I trying to say here? So Ivan Reitman, he co-created Ghostbusters. So Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman directed the original Ghostbusters, and he directed Ghostbusters 2. I love the fact that Jason Reitman directed Ghostbusters Afterlife, and that he's going to be involved in this series. There's that lineage there. I love that. I love that Dan Aykroyd is going to be involved in this as well. I love that Dan Aykroyd. I love that. Him being the other co-creator alongside the late Ivan Reitman. I don't know how I feel. So it says here a new wave of supernatural terror hits the Big Apple, forcing a group of scrappy young New Yorkers, untrained, underappreciated, and kind of sort of responsible for the problem, to put on proton packs, face their fears, and bust some ghosts. I don't know how I feel about that. Like I would prefer it being, and I guess for obvious reasons we can't, but I would prefer it if it were the original Ghostbusters being in this series. But again, for obvious reasons, that's not possible. Let me just say this: I don't know how I feel about a younger generation being in this animated series. But then again, I wasn't sure how I felt about a group of kids being in Ghostbusters Afterlife, or at least being the main cast of Ghostbusters Afterlife, and that turned out really, really good. So we'll see. I will say the concept art, the animation looked beautiful. And yeah, I'm a Ghostbusters fan, so I will say on a I don't know. This is just a random Ghostbusters thought, but one of my favorite sounds in cinema history is the siren from the Ecto-1, their car, the Ghostbusters car. I love that siren sound. It drives my wife crazy, but I love that sound. But yeah, so I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope it's good. I hope it's good. So yeah, jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Okay, so one last bit of news here. So for those who don't, okay, I'm trying to think of how to start this. So I've talked a bit before about how much I'm a fan of this, the Godzilla MonsterVerse, the Godzilla, King Kong, I should say Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, Godzilla versus Kong. I really enjoy that franchise. And there's this series, there's this prequel series called Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Excuse me just a second. Excuse me. I love when they come out of nowhere like that. There's this prequel series called Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which I have not watched, admittedly. I have heard it's great, and it's a prequel to everything. It's a prequel to it's kind of the origin story of the MonsterVerse. I have heard it's great. I have not watched it. Well, for those who don't know, sometime late last year, Apple TV ordered a prequel series to that. A prequel to the Monarch Legacy of Monsters series. And Uh, so in Monarch Legacy of Monsters, Wyatt Russell plays um, plays a character called named Colonel Lee Shaw, who is the younger version of the character played by his real life father, Kurt Russell, which is really, really cool. So in this prequel to the prequel, so there's Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and then last year, sometime late last year, there was a prequel to Monarch Legacy of Monsters that was announced. And Wyatt Russell is coming back to play his character again. So there's been more casting news regarding that prequel series. This article is on Joe Blow, published by Kevin Fraser. And a little ways down here, it says that Deadline reports that Millie Brady from The Last Kingdom and Pilu Asbayek, from Foundation have joined the cast of the new Monarch prequel. And this article goes on to say that the pilot of the Monarch prequel series will be directed by J.D. Dillard. The show will follow the story of Colonel Lee Shaw, played by Wyatt Russell, an American operative who, in 1984, went on a secret mission behind enemy lines in an attempt to stop the Soviets from unleashing a horrific new Titan big enough to destroy the U.S. and turn the tide of the Cold War. Okay. It's not known who Brady and Asbayek will play. Let's see. Any news? So, I guess that it's been ordered to series. The pilot is going to be directed by J.D. Dillard, and it looks like it's been ordered to series. So that's really cool, and we'll see. I know that the second season of Monarch Legacy of Monsters came out in February. I don't know if there's going to be any more, but I know that there's going to be a new Godzilla Kong movie. So we'll see how that goes. Go away. So yeah. So Millie Brady from The Last Kingdom. That's cool. Pilu Asbayek from Foundation. I have nothing against. I think Pilu Asbayek is very talented. Now, as far as the Foundation series itself is concerned, I'm trying to think of the best way to I am, as far as the Foundation series itself is concerned, I am a huge fan of the books by Isaac Asimov. Huge fan of the books. I don't know what that show is. I couldn't even, it was, I didn't even, I couldn't even watch. I watched like 2 or 3 episodes. Um, I don't know what it was. It wasn't Foundation. Like it was cool, but as far as it being an adaptation of the Foundation books, it's an it's a failure. It's a failure. I think Pilu Asbayek is very talented, but that show it's not Foundation. I don't know what it is, but it ain't Foundation. Um, but Millie Brady and Pilu Asbayek being in this new Monarch Legacy of Monsters prequel series, um, that's really cool, and I'd love to see this universe continue to build and continue to grow. And I haven't watched Legacy of Monsters. I know I need to. I also haven't seen Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. Uh, so there's that. Hopefully Godzilla Kong. Um, what's the new one going to be called? Um, Supernova. Um, hopefully that's good. So we'll see. But I'm looking forward to this. I hope I'm looking forward to seeing this franchise grow. Um, you know, so yeah. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. Well, that'll about do it for today. Um, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you continue to enjoy in the future. I do know that I will be back uh, depending on how next week goes. I will be back either next week or the week after. I'm not sure yet. Um, I do know that I do know that Katie and I might go see Toy Story 5 on Sunday. I probably will see Disclosure Day on Tuesday, but we'll see. We'll see. It's all up in the air for right now. But have no fear because I will be back. It's just a matter of when. Um, you know, yeah. So, uh, again, I don't know if I'll be back next week or the week after. Probably, yeah. So I don't know. So I hope you enjoyed the show today. I hope you continue to enjoy the show in the future. As always, if you like the show, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and until next time, if you have any uh, questions or comments, or if you want me to talk about anything in particular, you can shoot me an email or leave a comment in the comment section. And until next time, I will see you at the movies.